Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J. Loren Norris.
He was arrested for banging on the door of his neighbor's house at 4:30 in the morning. Heavily intoxicated. I couldn't believe he was actually being arrested. Why? Well, because something led him to believe that because of who he was, it was not going to be a problem. Because, well, everybody knows my name. I'm famous. Or at least in his world. Maybe you've seen those old t-shirts, I'm a legend in my own mind. There are quite a few of those out there. And sometimes that is a leadership problem. It's an ego problem. It's a problem that follows being promoted when your talent and your skill can go further than your attitude. That's what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. I'm J. Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. And I can tell you whether you're talking about the high school quarterback who got promoted before he was a junior into the varsity league because he was really, really good as a freshman. And then he goes on to play, great football in his junior year and his senior year. And then he gets recruited to college and, oh my gosh, he's something special now. And then his college team wins a football championship and wow, he's a superstar. And nobody in the world would ever say anything negative about him. And unless his name is Johnny Manziel. Well, recently, another high school superstar, gone college superstar, won a championship, and I believe he played for the Bulldogs. But back in his hometown, he's wandering up and down the street after too much alcohol, banging on people's doors at 4:30 in the morning. And he gets arrested. And at some point, I'm sure the question came out of his mouth, "Don't you know who I am?" Well, yeah, but it still doesn't give you an excuse to be loud and obnoxious, to be drunk in public. Public intoxication, I believe, is all he was charged with. He's lucky, though. Texas has a castle law. Banging on people's doors at 4:30 in the morning could have a really dire consequence. I'm just saying. But see, there are a whole lot of leaders who get promoted early on. I remember working several years ago for a young man when I was being trained to be a salesperson under him. And he was probably, maybe a year or two older than me at the time. Wasn't by much. But he had made a really good run as a salesperson at a fitness club. Made a lot of money. He was the sales manager of this club. And so when we started talking about sales and a position and whether or not I wanted the job, he walked me to the parking lot and showed me his then brand new Volvo 70. He was very impressed with his Volvo. Very impressed with the amount of money that it cost to buy it. Very impressed with how speedy and safe it was. All showing off everything that he could do. And he was very accomplished for someone not even 30 years old. He had a lot of accomplishments and a lot of money in the bank for someone of that age. What he didn't have is what tends to come, but doesn't always come with age, and that is maturity. I say it doesn't always come because I do know people who are older who are still very immature. They don't understand the power of their influence, or they think because of the power of their influence, they can get away with anything. They can do what they want to. And because they have money, because they have influence, nobody can say anything about it. think the sad part is there are many times that they get away with things they shouldn't get away with, these elitist-minded leaders, because nobody's willing to call them on it for fear of retribution. And unfortunately, there are a lot of times that we look at the Epsteins, the Weinsteins of the world, and we realize how long they have been getting away with it because nobody was willing to say anything because it would risk their career or risk their reputation or will destroy you. And many of the leaders who operate with that elitist mentality, who feel like they can get away with anything, they do have the power to destroy you. Like a receptionist who can lose your paperwork and looks like you never showed up to your job, or you never turned in the sales that you actually worked for, or you never finished the production that you were required to. And all of a sudden you're out of a job, but there's just no proof that you ever did what you were told to do. See, that's a pretty easy form of manipulation. But then there are those who can actually devastate you with a single phone call by calling ahead and saying, yeah, don't hire this one, don't use this one. And once you get that blacklist on your name or you've made one mistake, and they can bury you. They can end your career. One producer in Hollywood starts talking negative about an actor or an actress, and nobody wants to hire him. Nobody wants to work with them. They won't touch them with a 10-foot pole. And it doesn't matter if they can act or not. Really doesn't even matter if their last project made a lot of money. You get on the wrong side of the wrong people, they can bury you. And because that's true, the wrong people often have a massive advantage to continue to do wrong. Because they feel like, I'm untouchable, and if you come after me, I'll destroy you. There's an old phrase, an ancient phrase that says, pride goes before the fall. And usually just before someone is canceled or destroyed, there's a whole lot of bombacity that comes out in their voice and their declarations and their social media posts and their media advantages. And they tell you all about how awesome and wonderful and untouchable they are. And then they find out they're not. In the political realm, it may take 3 or 4 political cycles before someone pays the price of their stupidity or their injustice, but justice is coming. And in the business world, it may be that someone gets away with cutting corners, cheating the system, cornering the market, manipulating people, taking advantage of others, manipulating laws and international tax policies for decades. But justice is coming. And sometimes it seems like you've lived your whole life as the victim. And those who have taken advantage of you, who have cut the corners, who have cheated you, those people are, well, getting away with murder, so to speak. But justice is coming. Maybe you would call it a cosmic justice. Maybe you would say it's karma. Maybe you would say, you know, the reality is, I just know that one day they'll get theirs in the end. Well, they will. Justice is coming. Here's the hard part as a leader, and that is to realize that those who have burned you, those who have spoken ill of you, those who have destroyed you, those who have blackballed you, those who have gotten away with all the wrongdoing and all the corruption and all the manipulation, they're going to get theirs. You just might not be there to see it. Oh, it's going to catch up with them, because it always does. And it might not be that you get to witness it. So what do you do? As a leader, do you try to hasten the day of their judgment or their recompense or their justice so that you can revel in it when it happens? No. Don't bother. It might happen next week. It might happen next month. It might happen in the next job they get. It might happen when the new boss comes in or the new chairman of the board comes in. It might happen after they've left the company and they're in retirement and they realize they've burned so many bridges that nobody wants to come and take care of them in their old age. But it's coming. And if you spend your life as a leader either thinking that it'll never come to you, you would be wrong, or that you've got to somehow hasten the revenge, you would be wrong. You will spend your entire life miserable. Why bother? As the old saying says, don't pet the sweaty stuff. Sweat the petty stuff. And it's all petty stuff. There are things in this life that there's nothing you can do anything about. You can guard against being taken advantage of, being manipulated, being lied to, being stolen from, being abused. You can guard against those things with wisdom. You can guard against those things by reading ahead. If you haven't read some of the books about reading body language and negotiating skills and understanding when people are lying, or you should probably take some time to do that. So long as we deal with humans on this earth, you're going to be dealing with people who, well, they lie, and their body language reveals it before they say it. They lie in the way that they move their head or move their eyes or the words they choose. They reveal it. You don't have to be a victim to those things. There are ways to know. There are also just some good practices that you can do in leadership and in business contracting and in choosing your customers and in choosing the type of business that you're in. Those are all choices that you have control of. Those choices can protect you in the future against people who would lie, cheat, steal, manipulate. So why get involved with them? That's up to you to protect and defend yourself before it happens. But after it happens, move along. Because how you feel about it today, the way that you allow yourself to victimize yourself again and again and again and again, to get wrapped up in the emotions of, the feelings of, the pain of having been taken advantage of, that will destroy you from the inside. Because here's something you need to know. Zig Ziglar called it the Green Buick theory. It actually has a neurological reality. The Green Buick theory says once I become aware of this thing, then I'm much more aware of it. Nobody has a Green Buick until you buy one, is the way he says it. But once you notice a Green Buick, then it seems like everybody in the world has a Green Buick. All right. In the brain, that thing is called the reticular activating system. And its place in your neurological system says that I recall, I remember, and I relive these moments. Now, that is a very powerful tool when you understand that you can trigger the reticular activating system for future hope and excitement that will drive you toward a vision that you have not yet had the opportunity to encounter. That anticipation, like Christmas morning when you're a 5-year-old, that anticipation and all the biochemistry that happens in your body when you can't sleep the night before because you're so excited about what's going to happen the next day. That's the reticular activating system working together with the hippocampus and the hypothalamus, and it's dumping all kinds of chemistry in your body. And it builds excitement and anticipation and opportunity and strength. Unfortunately, it doesn't know the future from the past. And if you spend your time in your imagination reliving the past of those who got one over on you, those who took advantage of you, those who abused you, those who manipulated you, those who stole from you, those who lied to you, if you spend your time there, the reticular activating system in your brain doesn't know if that was past or future. And so all the biochemistry is still firing off the same way. Some people will call it rehearsing. Or you're rehearsing a moment that happened before. You're meditating on something that was damaging and destructive. Stop that. You need to free your mind and move forward. Their justice will come. And you need to learn to be okay with the fact that you may not be there to see it. You may not get to revel in it or celebrate it. But it's still coming. And that's okay. The last thing you want to do, though, is allow yourself to live in a perpetual victim state. Not only is it not good for your finances, it's really not good for your body, for your stress level, for your anxiety level, for your blood pressure, for your heart rate, for any other kind of chronic diseases that you have. All those things going on in your body, they're very directly connected to what's going on in your brain. The relationship between those hormones firing off in your brain and all the neurochemistry that happens when your brain remembers how bad life was lets your body live in the same state that it was when life was bad. That's a choice that you have to make. You need to rest assured, no one is untouchable. Everyone will pay the price for all the bad things that they've done and the people they've taken advantage of, the people they've hurt. Everybody will. You just may not be there to see it. And you need to allow yourself to be okay with that. You need to allow yourself the right to move on, to set the reticular activating system towards your future vision and how awesome life is going to be, not how miserable life once was. Change your vision, set your vision, and then hold on to the image of how life is going to be awesome in the near future. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Loren is a master teacher on storytelling, and I learned so much. I'm really going to have to sit down and go back through everything, and I think I might have to have some more coffees with Loren, but it was totally worth my time, and I really highly recommend it if you're looking to grow your ministry, grow your business, grow your career. Loren will serve you well.
Thank you.